Back. Thank you for staying with us. You're still watching Nile Cruise with Yasmin Makir and myself, Muhammad Abdurrahim, talking about the 32nd African Cup of Nations CAN here in Egypt. We have with us two dear guests here to talk to us about the championship. They are Mr. Ahmed Hilal, sports critic, and Mr. Abdul Maqsoud Mallah, a journalist. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining Nile TV International, joining Nile Cruise. Mr. Hilal, allow me to start with you. 3 matches, 9 points, 5 goals for, 0 against. But the upcoming matches will be much more difficult, and certainly there is a lot of room to improve in many ways and many areas of the game. Please elaborate.
Actually, the stats you're talking about doesn't reflect the true story of what happened. We've been poor for the last 3 matches. We weren't performing up to the levels that we're expecting. We got lucky yesterday against Uganda. Yes, we won 2-0. However, I know that the man of the match went to Muhammadi, but the right man was Mohamed Shenawi. Shenawi made an astonishing 9 to 10 saves. 3 of them are crucial saves with great reflexes. And I believe that our national team is having a lot of problems when it comes to the midfield area, building up the play, pressuring opponents.
The team without Tariq Ahmed, we lost the midfield without Tariq Ahmed in the first half, didn't we?
Yeah, without Tariq Ahmed, and even in the first 2 matches, with sorry in the field. And Denia and Abdullah Saeed performances, both of them is below average,
par,
below bar. We're not really pressing the ball well. We're allowing teams to have shots on the goal, and if we're facing a much better team with a higher quality in finishing, we will be punished. So I'm
should
hoping
we see more of Walid Suleiman? Just a question.
I believe that
can he play 90 minutes?
I don't think that Walid can play 90 minutes, but again, we need to change something in our formation. I think we need to revamp our midfield. I believe that we could use
Dunga was okay.
Dunga was okay in the match. However, he had a couple of mistakes. I don't know if he's paired with Tariq Ahmed, he would be better. However, we saw the pairing of Tariq Ahmed and Nini, and it's not working. So why not try Dunga and Tariq Ahmed? I'm suggesting using Trezeguet in a midfield position, deeper position. Probably can move the ball forward, try to create chances. He's the most player that created chances in Egypt till now. I think we need some changes to be able to win the next round. Till now, we're lucky. We're probably going to face Kenya. However, if tomorrow and today's results are not great, we may face South Africa, and this is going to be a big match for us, and it's going to be a big problem for the Egyptian squad.
All right, Mr. Mallah, thank you very much for joining us on Nile Cruise. Now, let's talk on a general scope, and from your experience so far in your analysis, how do you see the organization and how everything is ongoing in the stadium in terms of you know, the entrance cards and the seatings and everything to do with this thing so far since the beginning of the matches?
Okay, let me say first, the opening ceremony was amazing, and if you are following the feedback over all social media from African citizens, from tourists and foreign media, all feedback was more than perfect. Also, when we talk about organizing of this CAN round, it was amazing in order of security, in order of supporters entering the stadium after like several years of empty stadiums. It's a challenge. It's a really challenge,
and especially that the renovations that were needed to take place were taken in a very short period of time.
Yeah, exactly.
And
the stadiums look fantastic.
Exactly, and the services that would hold the capacity of the cheers, if I may say, what would we call them?
Yeah, the fans. Yes.
Yeah, the fans is also very amazing as well. The matches are being played on different stadiums. So can you tell us your feedback so far about the different places or governorates that they play in?
Cairo, Alexandria,
so far, yes.
Actually, Cairo Stadium here is perfect, is amazing. Mostly all feedback about the stadiums are more than perfect, but except
They look like
for
World Cup stadiums.
That's true.
Yeah, except I followed some like negative feedbacks about entrance procedures and the
As
air
in long
defense.
queues, but you know, that again
air
is for
defense
security
stadium, but
reasons.
if we talk about the major picture, it's more than perfect. We are doing an amazing job.
Allow me, Mr. Mallah, to go back to Mr. Hilal and continue to talk some tactics. Again, Zimbabwe 1-0, Congo 2-0, and then 2-0 against Uganda. Of course, in the round of 8, you will face, if we get there, and we should, by God's will, but you will face the likes of Senegal, Algeria, Morocco, Cameroon. I mean, maybe Nigeria. You really would have tough opposition. I want to go back again, Mr. Hilal. I don't want to be too tough on the team, but this is what most people are saying. Other than Salah, Trezeguet, Higazi, Tariq Ahmed, Al-Shenawi, we've seen very little from most, and Mohammadi, of course, Ahmed Mohammadi. We've seen very little from other players. Very little.
Yeah, if you're talking about, again, we just talked about Abdullah, Said and Nenni. Both didn't show up till now, 3 games in. You're having problem. Ayman Ashraf is decent, is not producing the highest
But
quality.
why haven't we tried Ahmed Ayman Mansour? I mean, I know that Abdullah Goma is not there. He should have been, according to most of Egyptian football fans.
I think it's more of a tactical view. And in my opinion, Ahmed Ayman Mansour is a great player. He's a great young player. Ayman Ashraf is a little bit more experienced. And I guess the way we play, the way we set up our team, Ahmed Mohammadi is almost a right winger, not really a right back. So having a more conservative left back who's used to play a center back in Ali is helping us to maintain
because
this
Omar
balance.
Gaber could play left back.
Yeah, Omar Gaber has spent half of the season playing at Pyramids at left back. And if you had Omar Gaber and Ahmed Mohammadi on both right back and left back, you'll have problems defensively that we're actually having it with Ayman Ashraf playing as a left back. So I think there's an issue. People always critiqued Cooper for being too defensive minded. Aguirre is not as defensive minded as Cooper. However, he needs to fix our defense because we're allowing oppositions to have a lot of chances in front of the goal. We're allowing oppositions to play us out of the field. We need to find a solution for that. I don't know.
Why was Mahmoud Ala benched after playing so well and being chosen player of the game? And Bahir Mohammadi didn't really impress most of us.
Bahir Mohammadi started the Aguirre era as Ahmed Higaz's partner in most of the matches. I think he's giving Bahir Mohammadi a match yesterday just to be sure to have another center back ready to play. And if you saw the match, Bahir, by the end of the match, started growing into the match. He feared the atmosphere. Again, Bahir Mohammadi is a young player. He didn't play in within 60 to 70,000 people cheering for him. So there is a lot of pressure there. He needed to have this chance. And overall performance is decent. He made a couple of mistakes, but he was able to fix it. So I think it's a good thing to have another center back ready whenever you have a problem. If La Qadar Allah, Ahmed Higazi or Mahmoud Ala has an injury, suspended because of a yellow card. And I think Mahmoud Ala have a yellow card too, so he was afraid for a yellow card, and the same for Tariq Ahmed. So that's why he benched both.
That explains it.
Yeah.
One final question about one final player, and then when I come back to you later, I'll not talk about players, but I'll talk about the whole team and the whole strategy. And it is Marwan Mohsen. Now, Marwan, according to many, is spending a lot of. There is a lot of effort by Marwan. He plays in midfield. I mean, when he goes back to midfield, he acts as a good defensively. He's a station. He's not getting enough crosses because he's a very good header. So what I want to say here that Marwan being criticized so much is unfair in my view. What do you think?
I think the critique, it sometimes get over the limit. However, there is a lot of critique to have to be done to Marwan. Yeah, Marwan defensively is doing a great job. However, as a unit, our team is not really benefiting from his pressuring the defense. If you don't move as a unit after his pressure from the front line, it's useless. He's just running around the ball. second, his link-up play is not up to the bar. He's not the most technical player. However, he's good in link-up. But
he didn't get one single cross, and he's such a good header.
But again, Marwan always been part of the build-up play. This year, the last 3 matches, he's not part of the build-up play. You don't see him dropping deep, trying to connect with Mohamed Salah or Trezeguet. It's always Salah or Trezeguet trying to make a run without even playing, involving Marwan. And I think it's part of his movement. He doesn't drop deep enough to play this role. And again, he gets a lot of critiques, but he's not getting a lot of chances because we're having a problem in our midfield. So again, I can see the unfair point, because he doesn't deserve to be critiqued as much as Nini, Abdullah Saeed, again, Ali Ghazal when he started. A couple of players that's really underperforming. But he's not the best. The problem with Marwan, he's not the best option as a striker right now.
But what options do we have? I mean, option 1 is Salah, option 2 is Trezeguet, and that's it. I mean, no, please.
I think you should give Ahmed Ali a chance. You picked him up, you selected him in the squad. He is the league goal scorer. Give him a chance. I don't think he will be worse than Marwan or Ahmed Kuka in that matter, because Kuka yesterday wasn't really good. So give him a chance. Give him a chance to play. And again, goes back to the manager. You selected those players, so don't come telling me this is the only options we had. You selected a player, he didn't play almost 70% of Ali's matches.
Or else he should have taken Ramadan Subhi maybe, or Kahraba.
There's a lot of strikers in the league. Don't tell me that we are only having this small pool of players that we are selecting from. It's their selection. They have to find a way to get out of the predicament they place themselves into.
Wow, that's a lot of technical. There's not much for us to say really anymore. Well, let's go back again, Mr. Mallah, to the general perspective of the entire tournament. And you're a sports analyst, so you're probably very much aware of what's been said and written around different African countries concerning the African teams that are visiting Egypt. Whether it is their schedule, whether how they're handled, whether how they have been performing, because we're focusing so much about, I mean, I've learned so much today already about soccer here in Egypt, but I'm sure that the rest of the African fans in their African countries who are cheering their fans, their teams in their countries also have feedbacks. You'd be more aware because you'd be very much connected to other sport analysts. Tell us about that.
Yeah, let me say, actually we are facing some surprises in this round, like very strong teams are being defeated by other like emerging
Madagascar
teams.
beating Nigeria.
A huge surprise.
This is a really big surprise. And let me mention another funny thing that some journalists and some African nationals coming and visiting Egypt to attend the some matches are like posting very nice comments about prices of our cost living here in Egypt, like prices of food, of renting apartments, and of transportations, and of everything. And one of these most viral postings was of a prominent South African journalist who was saying, okay, it's like I'm paying nothing here every day for...
I think he was talking about grapes or something like that. Some type of fruit.
Well, African grapes are being sold very expensive here too. So, I think it's only fair enough that he finds it with very... I mean, it's right. Egyptian grapes.
You're right.
There's something I understand.
Actually, he posted about like everything, and we are saying like, okay, it's very expensive now compared to past few years, but comparing to like South Africa, it's nothing. Like, he loves being here.
Yeah, I want to tell you something very interesting. I was coming back from Alexandria a couple of days ago, and halfway on the rest, I saw this a lot of security cars, and then there's this huge bus with Burundi's flag on it, and then, so I thought it was the national team, and it was indeed. And I could, as a TV person myself, a reporter before that, I couldn't help myself. My curiosity was like to ask the policemen, what are they doing here? Don't tell me they're coming to eat this, what is it called, the كتير.
Yeah,
He said, yeah, this is exactly what we came here for.
Yeah,
So,
pancake.
yeah, so I think in the middle as well, they do experience a lot of interesting traditional things here in Egypt, right?
Yeah.
Which is different, I believe. I mean, who would stop a national team to eat
Yeah.
something along the way, right?
I really like Yasmin, that also we saw a lot of nice pictures in the fans in the stands. We saw the Algerian fans clean up.
Yes,
the
and that was
stands
a very interesting gesture. Egyptians started it first, actually, after the opening ceremony.
We
Yes.
saw the Moroccan fans holding banners
Yes.
like Egypt and Morocco is one
That's
nation.
true.
We heard it from a lot of our dear African brothers that they consider this their second home and they are happy here because Egypt.
Yes, and maybe if you allow me, I also want to say that from here, because sports has always been, as much as it could also make grudges between countries, it could also bring countries together. And I believe whatever your different opinions would be about anything in the world, you would all cheer when it comes to supporting your national team, especially in soccer, which is, it is a true fact. It's the #1 sport that's of interest around the world. So from here again, maybe you can tell us more about this unity sort of thing and excitement of all the African countries coming to Egypt.
Actually, it's sort of like soft power. Soft-powered sports culture and like everything apart from like arms and those political and economic things. And football here, we can note that clearly. Soccer here in Egypt is uniting all Africans and it's bringing Egypt back to Africa. We can see all African people and we meet them and we hear about their how much they love Egypt and how much they feel that it's their second home. And this tell us how important these activities is.
Football is a way of life in Africa, in Egypt and in Africa as a whole. Mr. Hilal, now, what are the teams that you've liked so far? Who, in your view, who along with hosts Egypt, because we should agree that yes, we did talk a lot about what should be done in the Egyptian team, but if half of that stuff is corrected, then Egypt should be the #1 favorite because we are playing at home, 100,000 fans, so we are the record number of winners. Holders. So, but we have a tough competition in some teams. So who are the teams do you think are favorites for this title?
Yeah, if we fix a lot of our issues, we're one of the top contenders. You can add to that Algeria. Algeria showed up a great game against Senegal. Senegal is, in my opinion, #1 contender till now.
Despite the loss against Algeria.
Yeah, they were really unlucky against Algeria. Yeah, Algeria played a great first half. Second half, it was all Senegal, and they should scored a couple of goals, and they weren't lucky back then. And I still think they have the manpower, the mentality to win this tournament.
Yeah, because people forget how good Senegal were in the World Cup. We only talk about how good Morocco was, and they were great in Russia 2018, but so were Senegal.
Senegal was great, and actually they got
eliminated just by, I think, a yellow card.
And they had a lack of effort in the last match. They were expecting to go through it. They checked out out of the match easily. I don't know what happened back then. However, right now this is one of the toughest squads in Africa. Having Nigeria, although they lost, they almost had half of their team on the bench. So that's one of the reasons they lost. You have a strong team in Nigeria. You have a strong team in Morocco, one of the best.
Very good team.
Well, and they're playing great football right now. And Algeria, if they are consistent, I believe they are a top contender also. So you have 5 to 6 teams.
Yes, I really apologize. I mean, this is very exciting to talk about. It could go on forever, but
it will in the
tournament
weeks.
is I will be there, thank God. Anyway, unfortunately, our segment is up for now. I'd like to thank you very much once again, Mr. Ahmed Hilal, Sport Critique, for that excellent information I personally benefited from, and Mr. Abdul Maqsoud Mallah, sports journalist, thank you very much for joining us, and stay tuned for more coming up here on our program Nile Cruise right after this break.